Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. And if you are just tuning in with me for the very first time, it's so nice to meet you. And I'm really glad you're here with me today. I am your host, Heather Carey, nutritionist, chef, mom, and a woman who has been around the block with food. I want to open up about real food in relation to health, weight, and our bodies so you can make peace with what you eat. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real Food Stories podcast. I am your host, Heather Carey, and today we are closing out the year with a reflection on the best of menopause nutrition and wellness in 2024. But first, if you have not signed up for my totally free More Joy, Less Stress, Healthy Holiday Reset, please go to the link in my show notes. It's so simple. Just click, add your email, and you are in. We are in the thick of the holiday season right now, in case you haven't noticed. And if you are trying to change the script this year on how your holidays typically go, so you are not feeling totally spent, a couple pounds gained by January 1st, then sign up. The Holiday Reset gives you quick little tips, tricks, action steps, thoughtful ideas, and of course, healthy recipes for the holidays. Because if you know me, I am a culinary nutritionist and I am all about the food. This is not meant to add up any more to your very busy life right now, but rather to give you some inspiration. So sign up, link is in the show notes, and it is totally free. My gift of gratitude for you. Okay, back to the show. This has been a gigantic year for menopause education. I mean, really big, and it's exciting. If I look back on last year, there has been such a huge shift in how we look at the menopause transition, how we manage symptoms, and simply a belief that we no longer have to tough out menopause. And the most important part of it all is realizing that women matter, that women do not become a lost part of society just because we are menopausal, and that a woman going into menopause and having that dip in estrogen means not only hot flashes and night sweats, but it also means an increase in heart disease, bone loss, and other important areas of our health that we really want to pay attention to, and to realize that there is a relationship between our hormones and our health. Now, consider that studies indicate that menopause education is significantly underrepresented in medical training. A 2023 survey, for example, revealed that only 31% of obstetrics and gynecology residency programs in the United States include any form of menopause curriculum. That's crazy. These are the doctors who you rely on for your menopause education. Now, among these, 71% offer 2 or fewer lectures on the subject annually. That is incredible, considering that every woman on the planet goes through menopause. That's a lot of women. So why is this the case? For one, medical education tends to focus heavily on reproductive health, pregnancy, and sometimes acute illnesses, leaving menopause, often seen as, quote, natural, off the priority list. And to this historical underrepresentation of women's health and research and education, it becomes really clear why menopause care has fallen through the cracks. Now, unfortunately, this leaves many women feeling really unsupported and confused when it comes to managing symptoms. I mean, women have been very confused, which is why I am on a mission to break through this confusion and give you the best of the nutrition evidence out there and educate you on what it means to go through menopause in the middle of midlife. I have absolutely shared my menopause stories with you many times in prior episodes. One of the most notable ones about my primary care doctor telling me she would rather go to jail than have to take hormones. And we now know that hormones are very safe for most women. And the good news is that there's growing recognition of this gap. And organizations like the Menopause Society, which is the leading organization for giving the most up-to-date evidence-based research on menopause, and I'll link that in the show notes. I've talked about them many times. But they are stepping up to provide training and resources to healthcare providers. But there's still a long way to go because we are still mired in many old beliefs about menopause, hormones, food, and nutrition. And don't get me started about wellness influencers who want to play on your desperation. Actually, get me started on that. I'm going to be talking about that in next week's episode as we finish out this year. And just to drive this point home, I wanted to mention another study that found only 7% of residents in obstetrics and gynecology, internal medicine, and family medicine felt even competent to manage menopausal patients, despite recognizing the importance of such care. These findings, again, highlight just the critical gap in medical education concerning menopause management. And that trickles down to their patients, and then that creates a lot of confusion. But I feel confident that in 2025, we are going to have even more solid education and resources, and that more medical doctors will start to open up their thinking. So stay tuned for that. All right, if you are here, you are likely navigating midlife, menopause, and all the changes that come with it, or you know somebody who is navigating midlife and menopause. And you know how overwhelming the wellness world can feel. So much advice, so many trends, so little evidence. That's why I want to share what truly worked this year, the insights, the strategies, and practices that made the biggest impact for women just like you. All right, let's dive in. All right, first up, let's talk about food because as you know, I am a culinary nutritionist, and for me, the food and what we eat and nourish ourselves with is a huge part of healing and the healthy landscape that you are trying to create for yourself. And believe me that when I say there are some real desperation diets and strategies out there, because let's face it, you can start to feel desperate for solutions when you are not feeling good. I totally understand this. You want the quick fix. You want to know that someone is listening to you and getting what you are saying. And there's plenty of quacky people out there who will sell you all of their diets and supplements. Again, we're going to do that next week. So let's talk about food. Food can be really powerful because it's the one thing that we need to do every single day. And food can be one of the most powerful tools we have for feeling better, especially during menopause. There are so many foods to use and eat during this time of our lives. So this list is not exclusive, but I thought I would highlight a few standouts and ones that really get, I think, notable mention. The first is salmon. We all know salmon, but let's talk about it in a different light. Because salmon isn't exactly a brand new 2024 food, but I wanted to highlight it here because it checks off so many boxes for women in midlife. First, it's packed with omega-3 fatty acids. Now, what are omega-3s? Omega-3 fats are the fats that you need to get through food. Your body doesn't make them. You need outside sources. You could take supplements, but if you can, eat fatty fish twice a week. You always absorb nutrients through your food much better than a pill. So why omega-3s? Omega-3s support brain health. They help reduce inflammation, and they may help stabilize your mood, which can be critical during menopause when mood swings and brain fog are just really common. The other reason I like a food source like salmon is for the heart health benefits. Menopause increases the risk of heart disease when our estrogen dips because estrogen plays a role in a healthy heart. And omega-3s help lower triglycerides, which in turn lower cholesterol and reduce arterial inflammation. Foods like salmon, fatty fish also are a great source of vitamin D, which is very hard to get from our diets. Vitamin D aids in calcium absorption, and calcium and vitamin D support our bone health. Important for countering menopause-related bone density loss, estrogen is also responsible for our bones. Salmon is also an excellent source of protein, and protein honestly has become the 2024 nutrient of the year. We know that protein is an essential macronutrient. I have talked about this many, many times on the podcast. We cannot live without protein. But in midlife and menopause, we need it even more to help build muscle and help with our weight. So one food that helps with bone health, heart health, brain health, muscle loss, and weight. Make the addition of salmon and also other fatty fish into your diet a priority this coming year if you already have not. Okay, the next food I wanted to mention and talk about to support you during menopause that I've just been hearing a lot about this year is chickpeas. Now, chickpeas are a plant-based protein. I just mentioned that protein is essential for maintaining muscle mass, which declines during menopause. Chickpeas and other beans provide a non-meat option that's also high in protein. Now, beans like chickpeas are not as high in protein as animal protein, but you definitely want to mix up your proteins and add in plant-based ones too, because animal-based proteins come with saturated fat. Plant-based proteins do not. Chickpeas also have the added benefit of being rich in fiber, which is the other 2024 nutrient of the year, it seems. Protein and fiber just seem to be on the radar this year. So let me explain fiber for a second because this is important. Fiber is like the unsung hero of your diet. It's a type of carbohydrate that your body cannot digest, but it plays a huge role in keeping you healthy. Think of it as the broom that sweeps out your digestive system, helping to keep everything moving smoothly. Now, there's two types of fiber. There's soluble fiber, which dissolves in water and helps lower cholesterol and balance blood sugar. And there's insoluble fiber, which adds bulk and keeps you regular. Now, the best part, it's found in delicious natural foods like chickpeas and beans. It's also found in fruits and vegetables and whole grains. So it's easy to include in your meals if you are eating a well-balanced diet. Fiber also helps manage blood sugar and it supports gut health, both of which are vital as hormonal changes can disrupt these systems. So chickpeas and really all beans are such a great addition to your diet. You can think of having meatless Monday if you want. If you don't eat beans at all, start small. Do it one day a week for a dinner and see how it goes. All right, next up as a food of notoriety for 2024 is kale and other leafy greens. Now, again, these are not new foods, but I think definitely worth mentioning because dark leafy greens should be the foundation of every person's way of eating, no matter if you are on a diet or you're just eating well. Leafy greens have almost 0 calories, about 6 calories for a cup of kale, and they are a powerhouse for calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K, all critical for bone health. If you are concerned about inflammation, add these vegetables into your dishes wherever you can, in eggs, soups, whole grains, in smoothies. Leafy greens should be the foundation of your diet. Okay, and lastly, I want to mention flax seeds, which also I think have popped up in my radar quite a bit in this last year. Flax seeds contain phytoestrogens, and let me talk about what phytoestrogens are exactly. Phytoestrogens are natural compounds found in certain plants that act a bit like estrogen in your body, just much gentler. Think of them as nature's little helpers for your hormones. They can attach to estrogen receptors in your body, which might help with symptoms like hot flashes or mood swings during menopause. Foods like flax seeds, soy, chickpeas, and even some fruits and vegetables are rich in phytoestrogens. They're not a magic fix, but including them in your diet can be a simple way to support your body through this transition. Flax seeds also support your digestion. They are also high in fiber, so they promote regular bowel movements and support gut health, which can be disrupted during menopause. And seeds like flax seeds are also high in those omega-3s that I had talked about, and they help lower cholesterol, making flax seeds some of the best foods you can eat for cardiovascular health. Now, one pro tip I want to mention, when you buy flax seeds, be sure to buy them already ground, or you can buy them whole and grind them yourself. But whole flax seeds have a very hard shell on them and will pass right through your digestive tract undigested if they are not ground up. So just be sure to add them into your foods ground. Now, I add flax seeds every morning to my oatmeal. I also bake with them, sometimes replacing some flour with flax seeds. This is just an easy way to add in a little more of those phytoestrogens every day into my diet. So the takeaway regarding food is that while these foods are not new onto the food scene, I have been seeing the ever-growing importance of more protein, more fiber, and more omega-3s, and more anti-inflammatory foods in our diets. And these foods in particular, salmon, chickpeas, leafy greens, and flax seeds, are the perfect way to get more of these essential nutrients in. All right, another 2024 trend I saw this year is how to better manage specific symptoms of peri and menopause rather than that old tough it out approach. You have no idea how many women I've spoken to in the past that have said to me that there was nothing they could do about their symptoms, especially because they were in fear of hormones. From hot flashes to brain fog, I have worked with many, many women who felt really frustrated and with more awareness and education have learned that there are options that go way beyond the elusive herbs and supplements that I'm going to dive more into next week. Now, the first and honestly most effective way to relieve menopause symptoms that is backed by evidence is menopausal hormone therapy, or MHT. Now, MHT used to be called hormone replacement therapy, and I still sometimes call it that because the name change is that new. They just decided to switch up this name. Menopause hormone therapy can literally be a game changer for managing menopause symptoms because it works with your body to replace the hormones like estrogen that naturally decline during this time. It's especially effective for things like hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, and even sleep issues, which are all tied to those hormonal shifts. If you fix your night sweats and don't get woken up 10 times a night, you are fixing your sleep. It's just a win-win for most women. Now, by restoring hormone levels, MHT helps smooth out that roller coaster ride of menopause, making you feel more like yourself again. It can also provide long-term benefits, like protecting your bones from osteoporosis and even supporting heart health. Of course, it's not a one-size-fits-all, so it's important to talk to your doctor, especially one who has experience in menopause, and see if it's a right fit for you. But for many women, it can be a real relief when symptoms feel overwhelming. Now, one specific symptom that I just quickly mentioned before that so many women talk about is their sleep and not getting a full night's restful sleep when they are in midlife and menopause. And believe me, I know firsthand, this can be so frustrating because there's nothing worse than a bad night's sleep. I saw a few things this year on the radar regarding sleep. Let me backtrack to hormone therapy. If you choose to take hormones, you will take estrogen. And unless you do not have a uterus, if you've had a hysterectomy, for example, you will need to take progesterone also to protect the lining of your uterus. Progesterone is typically taken at night because it makes you drowsy, and in turn, it can help with sleep. So you're getting this double bonus of taking estrogen, which can help with night sweats and hot flashes, and the progesterone, which can make you a little sleepy. So that's one option for sleep, if you choose to take hormones. But are there any foods that can help promote sleep? Well, this year I heard more and more about magnesium than ever. So let's talk about what it is and what it does. Magnesium is a mineral that we need in our diets, and it plays a key role in regulating neurotransmitters and hormones that are involved in sleep, like melatonin, for example, which helps control your sleep-wake cycle. It also promotes relaxation by interacting with the nervous system and reducing stress hormones like cortisol. Some studies have shown that magnesium supplementation can improve sleep quality, especially in older adults or those with insomnia. For instance, research has found that magnesium can help reduce the time it takes to fall asleep. It can increase total sleep time and improve sleep efficiency. It's also known to relax your muscles and calm your mind, so it can make it easier just to unwind at nighttime. You could try a supplement. Now, there are many forms of magnesium, and the best to take for sleep would be magnesium glycinate. I like getting my nutrients through food if possible, because you absorb nutrients better this way. So the foods that are really rich in magnesium would be almonds, spinach, and pumpkin seeds. These are your top foods for magnesium. I want to put a disclaimer that if you are considering a magnesium supplement, always just consult with your physician to ensure the right dosage and to rule out any potential interactions with other medications, because supplements and medications can mix, and sometimes not in a great way. All right. One other thing I wanted to mention about managing menopause symptoms in 2024 is just the simple act of staying hydrated. Staying hydrated is a simple but powerful way to manage menopause symptoms, and here's why it matters. As your estrogen levels drop during menopause, your body can become more prone to dehydration. This might not seem like a big deal, but dehydration can actually make common symptoms worse. For example, hot flashes and night sweats. Losing fluids through sweating can leave you feeling even more dehydrated, which might intensify the frequency or severity of these symptoms. Or you might have fatigue and brain fog. Now, dehydration can sap your energy and make it harder to concentrate, compounding the brain fog many women already experience. Dehydration leads to dry skin and mucous membranes. Hormonal shifts lead to dryness anyway. There's vaginal dryness. Your eyes can start getting dry, your skin. And staying hydrated can help keep your skin and your tissues just more comfortable. And then finally, there's digestive health. Water is essential for digestion and can help prevent bloating or constipation, which are huge during menopause. Now, I have to admit, I have definitely been guilty of not hydrating enough, and I can feel the difference when I don't. And this doesn't mean I'm needing to drink 2 gallons of water a day. This is just simply starting with a few glasses of water. If you are not drinking any water, start with a few glasses. Start with 6 to 8 glasses. And I mean 8-ounce glasses. It's really not that much. And the good news is that staying hydrated doesn't have to be boring. I'm not a lover of plain water, but herbal teas, water infused with citrus or cucumber, And even water-rich foods like cucumbers, melons, and soups. Soup counts. A liquidy, brothy soup counts as liquid towards your hydration. These can all help with just staying more hydrated. Cutting back on alcohol and caffeine, which can be intensely dehydrating, can make a noticeable difference. Sometimes it's just these simple steps that can make you feel better. Let's talk about weight and metabolism, because weight and metabolism were huge topics this year, as they always are, and for good reason. Many women in menopause feel like their bodies are working against them. I have heard dozens of women say to me, I just look at food and I feel like I gain weight. So here's what really worked, and here's what I'm seeing more of with the women I work with. The first is the ditching the diet mindset. One of the most transformative shifts I've seen is letting go of restrictive diets. That's so yesterday, isn't it? And focusing on balanced meals instead that energize you and make you feel your best. One client I had this year shared with me that after years of yo-yo dieting, she finally started eating more mindfully, enjoying her food, and finally saw sustainable progress. Eating is a lifestyle habit, not a one-off diet. And just because you are in menopause or midlife doesn't mean you need some weird off-the-wall diet to go on. We're not aliens. We're human beings who still want to enjoy food and eating. Now, this year, I also saw the call for more strength training with women. This was a big one. Building muscle not only supports metabolism, but also improves confidence and strength. Your metabolism takes a huge hit in midlife. It's not just because you are in menopause, but because you are aging and you are in midlife. And building muscle is one of the key ways to charge it back up. So if you're new to lifting weights, start small, right? We're all about small changes. Even light weightlifting a couple times a week can make a huge impact. And then try to go a little heavier and a little heavier. And you'll see that this can be the thing that really can move the needle. And as I said earlier, eating enough protein. Protein is the 2024 nutrient of the year in my world. It's getting huge buzz with women, and I think for good reason. Prioritizing protein in every meal, like eggs for breakfast or chicken or tofu for lunch and fish for dinner, has helped so many women I see feel more satisfied, reduce cravings, build that all-important muscle, and feel fuller and more satisfied at meals. So we want to definitely be prioritizing our protein as we get older. And finally, I wanted to cover some of the best of the self-care habits that I saw sticking in 2024. I know that self-care is such a buzzword. I get it. It seems to be all over the internet, but for good reason, I think. Now, this year, I saw women redefine it in ways that really worked for their lives. Here are some of the habits that stuck. The first one, meal prepping as an act of self-care. Now, I know for some women, the thought of meal prepping and planning and cooking and just makes them want to cringe. But for so many, meal prepping wasn't just about saving time. It became a way to feel organized and in control of our food. I have one client who shared how spending just 2 hours on Sunday chopping up some vegetables, chopping up some protein, and getting her snacks ready for the week set her up for success all week long. It makes a huge difference, and it really does feel good to feel in control with your food. The other self-care practice that I really saw more of this year was practicing mindfulness. That's another buzzword that gets thrown around, but I just saw it in terms of ways that work for you, whether it was just a short meditation, taking a couple of deep breaths, getting out a journal and writing it down, or just sitting still with yourself. These small moments were small but mighty acts that help so many women manage stress and stay grounded. And the next one that is getting, I think, a lot more notoriety is just moving. The word movement rather than boot camp class or doing something radical and intense. Exercise doesn't have to be intense. And actually, the older we get, the better it is for our cortisol levels to just do something slow and steady rather than something high intensity, which can really activate your stress hormones. So walking, stretching, yoga helps so many women feel energized and connected to their bodies. Self-care may feel trendy, but it definitely is a priority, and I'm glad that this has become more of a topic of conversation this year, and I'm definitely looking forward to talking about it more in 2025. So reflecting on this year, I've learned so much from my clients and my community. One of the biggest lessons and the takeaway for me is simplicity works best. When we strip away the noise from wellness influencers or fad diets, what remains are the basics: eating whole, unprocessed foods, listening to our bodies, and making small, intentional changes. This approach has consistently brought the best results for women I work with. I'm curious to know what has worked well for you this year, too. And if you want, please feel free to send me an email and just check in. I would love to hear from you, and I'll leave my email in the show notes. And I'll share one quick story. A client of mine, let's call her Sarah, just for confidentiality, came to me feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. She was convinced that she'd have to overhaul her entire lifestyle to feel better. And instead, we focused on just 1 to 2 small things. We added in breakfast. She was not eating breakfast, skipping breakfast, and she was in a high-powered job. So we added in breakfast to her morning routine, which included much more protein. And we also talked about her prioritizing 30 minutes of strength training 2 times a week. That's it. Within a few weeks, Sarah felt significantly more steady, even energy. She felt stronger and, most importantly, more confident in her ability to care for herself. She even lost a few pounds by barely even trying, and she just overall felt great about herself. And it was a really nice change to see in someone who came to me first feeling very frustrated and out of control. So stories like Sarah's remind me that small, consistent changes can lead to big transformations. All right, as we wrap up 2024, I want to thank all of you for being a part of this journey. Your stories, your questions, your feedback inspire everything that I do, and I love to hear from you. I hope this episode leaves you feeling empowered and excited for the year ahead. Remember, menopause is not something to be dreaded. It's an opportunity to prioritize yourself and make choices that support your health and happiness. So stay tuned for exciting content in 2025. I can't wait to keep learning and growing together. And until next time, take care and keep thriving. Get ready for my next round of my signature course, Nourish, Empower Your Menopause Journey, coming in February 2025. That is only a few weeks away. If you want your menopause and midlife journey to feel more in control, then consider joining me and a group of like-minded women. You can get on the early bird interest list by signing up in the show notes below. And as always, if you loved this podcast, please consider gifting me with a 5-star review. It is so helpful for me to get the word out on real eating, our real bodies, and real food stories. Thank you so much and have a great week. Bye for now.